So without further ado, I want to welcome up Pat Millea. He's going to, again, be speaking on the theology of the body, so please give him a warm welcome.
Tepid applause. That's okay. I always laugh when people clap before I do anything. Like, this could be terrible, right? And like, you're gonna feel bad because you wasted all that clapping. So I'm gonna try my best to make it worth it, but if at the end of the night you want your applause back, just come tell me and I'll cry on my way home. How are you? Good to see you. That's the spirit, yeah. I'm sure you're thrilled behind your mask. I just can't see or hear you, that's fine. So like Danny said, my name's Pat Millea. I'm really thrilled to be back at St. Ambrose for a few reasons. Number one, because I get to come every year and I love it. Number two, it's a great parish. Number three, I know it's a great parish because my lovely bride, who you'll hear more about tonight, we got married right there. This is the church of our wedding, bro. I get to come every year. This is like my half wedding anniversary, except my bride is not here. So it's just me and you guys. But anyway, I love St. Ambrose, so thank you for having me back. You guys look great. I'm sure you had a great Christmas, and I'm sure you'd be glad to be back in school, right? You're thrilled. Sure you are. Here's the deal. I love food. Okay? We need to start with this. It's important that like you understand who I am, and I understand you a little bit. I love food. I love unhealthy food. On the sweet, or how many of you, if you had to pick, you would choose salty snacks and unhealthy food over sweet? How many of you are salty people? Pretzels, Cheetos, like stuff like that, right? How many sweet folks? You would choose sweet things, right? Okay, so that's the right answer, obviously. No offense, you salty people. But like literally, there was a time in my life when I was a grown man and I would eat ice cream every night of the week, right? Like that's not okay. You shouldn't do that, right? I love cake. I love cookies. I love Oreos. I love double stuffed Oreos because I love the stuff. I don't know what it's made of. I don't care. I don't want to know. It's delicious. I love the stuff so much. If they can make a double stuffed Oreo, why would they ever make a single Oreo ever again, right? Like there's not enough stuff in the middle, right? It's a waste of space. I love M&Ms. Bro, I crush me some M&Ms, like peanut M&Ms, regular plain M&Ms. I don't get into all the fancy, crazy, like jalapeno or I don't know, like frog, like whatever flavors they have now. I'm a classic, right? Peanut and regular M&Ms, and I will eat a bag full without blinking an eye because I have no self-control. I'm working on it, right? I love salt or sugary foods, right? The thing that I don't love very much is working out, okay? Now listen. I was kind of a half athlete in high school. I don't know how many of you are like this, but I was like the JV all-star, right? I'm good at everything, and I am very good at nothing, right? Like, I can play basketball acceptably and play with my friends. That's great. I played football for one glorious year, and I was an offensive lineman. Do you see the body shape that I have, right? That didn't go too well. I ran cross country for 2 years. 2 years of misery, I ran cross country. I don't know how many of you run cross country. I don't know how many of you are good. I admire you. I came in dead freaking last in so many races, so many meets. I can't explain to you, right? I do not enjoy working out, but I do it because if I don't, I know that I will be dead by the time I'm 45, right? So here's the deal. I really love sugary food. I really don't like working out. And the issue is that I wish it didn't matter. I wish I could eat whatever I wanted to. I wish I'd never had to break a sweat again in my entire life. I wish it didn't matter, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is, right? Like you and I are made to eat food that's good for our bodies, and our bodies do better when we eat the right food. You and I are made to actually move once in a while, and to like exercise, and to work out, and to use this body that God has given us so that it's healthy, right? You and I are made to do that. Unfortunately for me and my selfish desires, that's just the way it is, right? It's not easy, it's actually difficult, and it takes a lot of patience, you know what I mean? I looked this up the other day. Do you know how much money Americans spend on fitness every year? Americans are so desperate to find a way around eating right and working out that last year Americans spent $264 billion with a B dollars on fitness. For comparison's sake, you know how much the US spent on public education last year? $64 billion, excuse me. We spent $200 billion more on trying to work out and be fit because we don't like eating the right food than we did teaching our kids. Something's wrong, right? I mean, we're looking at our lives and we're saying, this is the way our bodies work, but something inside of us says, but I don't like that. I want all the M&Ms, and I don't want to go to the gym. I just want to watch football and watch them work out. That's all I want to do, right? That really comes to bear in the way that we look at a lot of our life, right? I mean, how much of our human experience is that something about us, something about our nature, it's just the way it is? How much of our experience is that the way we're designed, the way that we were made, it's just the way we are? And unfortunately, we don't like that sometimes. Because a lot of times those things are hard. A lot of times they take patience. A lot of times it's really difficult to do the right thing, and it's way, way easier, and often way more popular even, to do something that's less right, or even something really wrong. It makes me think of this guy, G.K. Chesterton. He was a really big, large, genius British guy that lived about 100 years ago. And he said once, the Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and left untried. I'm going to say that a different way. The Christian ideal, the way we're called to live by the man who came and died for your sins. The model of a perfect and a joyful human life that we had in Jesus Christ, the life that he asked us to live. It's not that people have tried that for 2,000 years and thought to themselves, this is actually lame. This is super boring. I'm living like Jesus and I can't stand it. No, he said, people have found out that it's difficult and they just give up. I don't know about you, like I'm 38, that's the story of my life, right? That confession that you're going to have the option to go to tonight, I go to that at least every month because I need it. Because I try the Christian ideal, but it's hard. And I don't like hard sometimes. So I bail and I quit. Friends, that's the beauty of the teaching that we have tonight. The beauty of this theology of the body. The fact that the church reveals to us, shows us the way we were made and the way we were made to be in love. Now here's the deal. Just percentage-wise, guessing, the majority of you are going to be called to be married when you're older, like I am. Some of you, God willing, will be called to be ordained, like your good priests. Some of you will be called to be consecrated, either as religious or as single people. But in general, the most of you will probably be called to marriage. And the beauty of that, my friends, is that the church, Jesus himself, has a roadmap for how to be happy. And I'm going to say that again, how to be happy. Just like if you want your body to be healthy, you need to take in good food, even kale and garbage like that nobody likes, and you have to actually move your body once in a while. The church is showing you and me, if you want to be in a loving relationship, if you want to be in a marriage that's joyful and free and spontaneous and fun and completely in love, and if you want to date people leading up to marriage so you can discern, and if you want to have great, healthy, happy dating relationships, whether you marry those people or not, this is the way. That was very Mandalorian right there. I didn't mean to do that, but this is the way to do it, right? It's just the way it is. It's the way we're made. So let me start with this. You and I are human beings. We are body and soul. There are things about us that are just the way they are. And the only thing that works in the long run for us is doing it the way we were made, is doing it the way God designed us, is working with the design of our Maker. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Like Danny said, my name's Pat Millea. What do you need to know about me? I am from Iowa. Don't hold it against me. I went to Notre Dame, where we win all of our games unless we play Clemson or Alabama, and then it doesn't go so well. I moved here in 2009 and got married right there. We have 7 children. Yes, it's a lot, and yes, it's loud, but it's the greatest thing ever. Where I'm at in my life, just so you know, I'm 38 years old. About a year and a half ago, I bought a 12-passenger van, bro. Like, just for my family. You know what I mean? I went to, there was a guy who came to my house one time to work on the water heater in our basement, this plumber guy, right? And so he walks through our house, and some of our children were awake. The others were napping. Some were awake. Not all of them, some. And we go downstairs, and I'm showing him where the water heater is, and he's just making small talk, and he goes, so do you guys run like an in-home daycare or something? I'm like, nope, all mine, all of them. And there's more, actually, buddy. I was like, I don't make any money off this, right? Like, we don't gain money. We spend a lot of money, actually, to feed these beautiful little kids. We have 7 kids, and it's great. I'm a youth minister at St. Joe's in West St. Paul, and I came east to hang out with you guys, so thanks for hanging out. Three promises for tonight. Number one, the topic of theology of the body, the way our bodies are made, the way our relationships need to be expressed, the way that you and I understand sexuality can be difficult and awkward and weird sometimes. It can even be kind of like controversial and hard to understand. I'll make you three promises tonight. Number one, even though this topic can be awkward and difficult, I am not going to embarrass you, right? I'm not going to like call on you and ask you for weird answers, right? All I'm going to do is propose. I'm going to invite. I'm going to ask you to think. I'm going to ask you to pray later on during adoration. And I'm going to ask you to take this conversation to the people that love you the most. I'm going to ask you to talk it over with your parents, with your aunts or uncles, with your sponsors, with your grandparents, with your friends. I'm going to ask you to actually have good conversations about this, so I'm not going to embarrass you. Number two, you will see yourself and others in this topic, because this is just human life, right? This touches all of us in some way. It's who our friends are, it's how we talk, it's how we dress, it's the movies we watch, it's the people that you date, obviously the people you marry. This is real, it's relevant, right? And finally, number three, this is going to reveal secrets, like I said, to happiness, peace, and freedom. Let's do it. How many of you have ever read a comic strip in your entire life? Like in an actual piece of paper newspaper? Anyone? Yes, all the group leaders. That's great. Okay, and some of the high schoolers. Great, cool. So here's the deal. Back in the day, when I was in high school, like you are, we used to get this thing called a newspaper, and it came to your door. You didn't have to turn anything on. It was really weird. It came to your house, and then your dad would take all the boring stuff at the front, but you would go, if you were smart, take the sports section, like me, and then you would go and take the comics from the back, the funny pages, right? And my favorite comic strip of all time was this comic called Calvin and Hobbes, right? It was about a kindergartner named Calvin who was a bratty, mean, violent little kid, and his stuffed tiger named Hobbes, who, like Toy Story, when no one else is around, Hobbes comes to life and he's Calvin's best friend, right? Like his imaginary best friend. Side note for a second, the whole comic strip is actually about theology and philosophy. Calvin is named after John Calvin, the Protestant theologian. Hobbes is named after John Hobbes, the English philosopher. It's all about good versus evil and reason and logic. Anyway, just read it under that lens sometime. Calvin was written by this guy named Bill Watterson. Bill Watterson was the cartoonist. So just imagine with me for a second, think with me. Bill Watterson, who's a human being like you and me, and he's a great artist, super creative, but he's just human like you and me. Let's imagine that after 30 years of writing this comic strip, this comic that he made up, he created Calvin, right? What if Bill Watterson wanted to tell Calvin something in his world, right? What if Bill Watterson wanted to tell Calvin, after all these years together, I made you, I'm the reason you exist, I love you, and I only want good things for you, for your whole life? What if you wanted to give him that message? How could he do that? Well, I can think of at least three interesting ways. Way number one, he's the cartoonist, right? He can do whatever he wants. He could, if he wanted to, write a speech bubble in the sky in cartoon world, right? You know how speech bubbles work, right? There's like a bubble with words in it, and the pointy thing points at the speaker, right? So if he put a speech bubble in the sky and put the pointy thing up into a cloud, then a voice from the heavens in Calvin's cartoon world would shout down to Calvin, Calvin, my name is Bill Watterson. I made you. I love you. I only want good things for you. And Calvin would probably be terrified, right? Like you would if you heard a voice from the sky, but he could do that, right? He would get the message, right? There's a second way he could do it. He could write Calvin if he wanted to. Again, he's the cartoonist. He can do whatever he wants. He could write Calvin a message in Calvin's world. So like Calvin's walking home from school one day, he finds a book lying on the sidewalk. And the book is open to a page in the middle. And on that page, in big letters, it says, Dear Calvin, my name is Bill Watterson. I made you, I love you, and I only want good things for you. Love, Bill, right? He could do that. Again, he can do whatever he wants, right? And again, Calvin would be really confused, just like you would, if you found a note in a book alone for you on a sidewalk, right? But I think maybe the third way is one of the most interesting ways. It's a possibility, right? Bill Watterson, if he wanted to, again, it's his cartoon, he can do whatever, he could draw a cartoon Bill Watterson into the cartoon, right? So Bill Watterson, the human, draws Bill Watterson, the cartoon, in 2 dimensions on a piece of paper. And in the cartoon, he makes cartoon Bill Watterson walk up to Calvin, look him in the eyes, and say, Calvin, my name's Bill. I made you. I'm the reason you exist. I love you. I want nothing but good things for you. He could do that, right? Again, he can do whatever he wants. Maybe you see where I'm going with this. Our God has done all three of those things in human history. God literally speaks in ways that people can understand, always with their hearts, sometimes with their eardrums. Think of like Moses and the burning bush, right? That God speaks directly to Moses. And unless you think that only happened like 3,000 years ago, there are people today who hear the voice of Jesus. Think of like St. Faustina, right? Who got these amazing divine mercy revelations. She had entire conversations with Jesus in a way that she could understand. This simple Polish nun. Jesus, just like that second way, has written a book that is a love letter to you. And you and I take it for granted all the time. A lot of you, most of you, have it with you right now, right? God literally wrote a Bible, and every word on every page of that Bible carries the message, I made you, I love you, and I only want good things for you. Even the passages that are confusing and weird, even the passages that are boring and you don't understand at all, they're all one message that God made you, he loves you, he only wants good for you. But the most amazing, gripping, psychotically awesome way that God communicates with us is when God drew himself into our world. When God, who is beyond space, beyond time, he is goodness itself, he is love, became a person, became a boy, actually became a baby, and even before that became an embryo and a zygote, right? But this, that we celebrated 2-3 weeks ago, and we end the Christmas season today, this right here is the original theology of the body. The fact that God himself, the unspeakable God beyond the universe, became a human being that ate and slept and cried and ran and lived and died. He took on a human body like yours. Later on, we're going to get a chance to worship Jesus in his body, in his sacramental body. But the fact that God took on a human body is at the heart of Christianity. You know that's one of the reasons that Christianity is the fullness of truth, right? It's unlike any other religion that has ever been thought up in the world, that God became a human being. It's crazy unless it's true, which it is. That's the original theology of the body. And the beauty of that, friends, is that when Jesus took on a human body, he made the human body holy in a way that it wasn't before. Now, it was already holy, right? It's the image and likeness of God. But when Jesus took on a human body, our bodies meant something more. Now, I don't know about you, right? I don't know what you see when you look in the mirror. But when I was a sophomore in high school, I did not like my body. I was tall and skinny. I had acne, like from head to toe, I thought. I thought everyone could see the things about my body that I was the most insecure about, right? And this is no exaggeration. Like girls, guys, you know this. We live in a culture that tells you that you are not good enough because of your body. You know why they do that, right? Because they want you to buy stuff. People buy stuff when they think they have a problem they need to fix. Body spray, right? Acts tells you guys, if you want to have a lot of sex, which is already a problem, just buy this random smelling body spray. And the girls will chase you down the street. Bro, it's ridiculous. But we look at our bodies and we think we're not good enough, so we listen to the lies. Girls, I've been a youth minister long enough to know what it means when a girl is sitting in front of me saying that every scroll of her Instagram is like a bullet just destroying her self-image. That all these other girls with their perfect clothes and their perfect friends and their perfect poses and their perfect filters, that they feel like they're so ugly that no one could ever love them. They feel just forgotten. They feel like a mistake. Friends, Jesus had a body. And the fact that God made your body and Jesus had a body like yours means that you are not a mistake. At the lowest of the low, hear me clearly, you are good. You are beautiful. You are desired. You are enough. You are sufficient. You are beautiful the way you are. You don't need a product. You don't need a person to convince you that you're good enough. Friends, you have a God who made you good. And we have the honor of living into that goodness, of acting as good as he made us. That's a beautiful thing that Jesus took on this body. That's the original theology of the body. So that's your body, which is good, like I said. Let's talk about your soul, which is even better. Now your soul, we know, as it was made by God with Adam and Eve, was created flawlessly. Adam and Eve had no sin. They didn't need anything. They irrationally sinned because they didn't need anything at all. They were in perfect harmony with God and nature. But they sinned. They went against God. They took the apple. We know the story. So they fell. And our souls were damaged and broken and twisted when Adam and Eve fell. They brought sin into the world. And unless it's easy, sometimes when I was like in middle school, I'd be like, it's all your fault, Adam and Eve. I could have done better myself. And the truth is, like, I'm not doing better myself, right? Like, this is my problem too. Our souls have been twisted and broken and wounded by sin. But the best news of all is that we have a Redeemer, right? We have a Savior. That above and beyond all, our souls have been redeemed and transformed by Christ. You and I have no hope for heaven unless it's through this man who died and then was not dead anymore 3 days later. Our souls have been redeemed by Christ. And you, as a human being, are both. You know that, right? The angels, which are real, by the way, are only spirits. They don't have bodies. The animals, as awesome and cute and cuddly as they are, they have bodies. They don't have souls. You are the only thing God ever made who is so amazing that you have a body and a soul together. And what you do with your body affects your soul. What you do with your soul affects your body. That's why you kneel when you pray, because it helps you pray, God willing. That's why when you do good, you end up being a healthier person, even physically they're finding. You're a body and a soul together. That's your soul. Let's talk about your brain real quick. You all have brains, right? Yeah, Sunday night. Good luck answering that question. Okay, cool. You all have brains. I believe it. Listen, your brain is amazing. You know why? Do you guys still do yearbooks, by the way? You have like physical, maybe not during COVID time, but you have like physical yearbooks, right? Every year I ask this question and I get nervous they're going to say no. They just give you like an iPad with a thing. Anyway, so you get a physical yearbook. Do you guys still sign them for your friends, or you don't do that anymore? You don't do that really? Okay, all right, that's fine, no big deal. So back in the day when you're old like me, we used to sign each other's yearbooks like fifth graders, but we did it as seniors too, right? And you would write notes. And some people would say things like, Hags, have a good summer. Which is the stupidest thing of all time, right? Hags. But they would also write amazingly dumb things like, stay the same, never change, you're perfect the way you are. And like they were good-hearted, right? They're not being mean. But like, do you think at 17 I thought I was perfect the way I was? No! I was like, I hope I change. Why would you doom me to being in high school for the rest of my life, man? Like, I hope this gets better, you know what I'm saying? The point is, you're not done yet, which is a good thing. The next time someone calls you immature, you can say, it's because I am. I'm still growing, still mature. You don't have to use the voice. But you're not done cooking yet. Your brain especially, right? Your brain matures from back to front. The back of your brain matures first. And the back of your brain is the part of your brain that controls a few important things. It controls hormone development, emotions, it controls the fight or flight impulse, and territoriality, right? The front of your brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, develops last. And that part of your brain controls other important things like reason, logic, understanding the consequences of your actions, and following through on promises that you've made. So let's just do a brief recap here. Right now, if you're in high school, the only part of your brain that is done and fully mature is the part that controls hormones, emotions, anger, and territoriality. The part of your brain that is nowhere near finished yet controls reason, logic, consequences, and following through. Do you see like a potential issue that could come up in high school for people sometimes, right? And here's the deal, you're not broken. That's the way you should be. Why do you go to school when you're 14 and not 40, right? 40-year-olds are happy to sit around and do nothing for hours on end. They'd be way happier to sit in school. Why do you go to school when you're 14 and 15 and 18 and 20? Because your brain can accept the information and mold to it. Older people just can't learn fast enough. I'm the first one, right? You're not broken, it's the way you were made to be. But the key is you have to understand that and work with it, right? Just grassroots poll. How many people think that your brain is fully developed, even the front, by the time you're 18 years old? How many people think by 18 your brain is done cooking? You've all been around 18-year-olds, so you all are smart. Good, okay, great. How many think by the time, let's say 22, by the time you graduate college, typically your brain is fully mature? Up to 22, anyone? You've all known college students too, great. How many would say by, randomly, let's say 25. By 25, your brain is fully mature. Back, front, and this is average, right? But on average, 25. Okay, cool. How many would say by 28? By 28, your brain's fully cooked. Okay, how many 31? By the time you're 31. How many would say by the time you're 40, it's definitely done, age 40? How many people would say your grandparents aren't even there yet? Anyone? No? Okay, cool. 25 is the number. When you're 25 years old, your brain's fully matured. Different question, same answer. When's the last time that your car insurance rates drop and you can rent a car for the first time by yourself? When you are 25. Again, because the people who know you best want to make money off you. And they know that when you're 25, you're less likely to drink and drive, you're less likely to text and drive, you're less likely to speed, take chances, and hurt someone with your car, which costs the insurance companies and the rental car money. 25. Now think about this for a moment. By the time you're 25, you will likely have already decided who you're going to be friends with in high school and what you do with them on the weekends. You will have made decisions about drinking and other drugs. You'll decide who you're dating in high school if you want to date at all. You'll decide what you do with those people in terms of sexuality and relationships. You'll decide what college you go to, what you're going to major in. You'll decide who your friends are going to be there. You'll decide whether or not to practice your faith when you get to college and stay Catholic or not. You'll decide whether or not you do the same drugs and sexual activity in college. You'll graduate college, get your first job, or go to grad school, and you may possibly get married to the person for the rest of your life before your brain is fully mature. Yikes. Now the thing is, that's not a bad thing and it shouldn't be scary. The point is though, that you will be asked to make decisions before you're 25 that your brain is not fully ready to make yet. Which is why it's so important to have good people around you who can help you when your brain is short-circuiting, right? To have good friends who, when you want to go to a party on a Friday night and you know what goes on at that party, you have good friends around you that can say, that's a terrible idea, don't go to that party. Let's just play video games, like let's go to a movie, let's just be chill, it's going to be fine, right? When you want to do something with your boyfriend or girlfriend that you know is going to be heartbreaking to you or them later on, you need good friends around you who can say, man, that's a bad idea. You and they are better than that. You deserve better than that. You need good family around you that can show you and tell you that you are loved, even when things are difficult, right? You need people surrounding you to make up for the maturity that your brain is still making. Again, you're not broken. It's the way you were designed to be. It's the way it is. It's beautiful. All right, let's talk about your soul again. So your human soul has a bunch of different aspects to it that are different from anything else God ever made. The first thing about your human soul, it's the first mystery. That doesn't mean we can't figure it out. It means you'll spend the rest of your life figuring it out, and it's all good. The first mystery is this. Your soul involves at least three facets. It involves your intellect, your will, and your emotions. When you use those three things together, you make great decisions and you do great things. Think about the best decisions you've ever made. Who to be friends with, what to do, like when you hang out with your friends, the best decisions ever. You've used your intellect, your will, and your emotions all at the same time. Unfortunately, when we use only one or two or zero of those things, we make really bad choices, guys. Again, I've been a youth minister for like 15 years. I know what it's like to sit in front of somebody who didn't use their intellect when they decided whether or not to go to a party where there was drinking and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and they got either arrested or kicked off a sports team or in major trouble from their parents or all three, right? They just weren't using their intellect. Doesn't make them a terrible person. It means they weren't using their brain the way they should have. I can't tell you how many people, when they got into a decision, they only used their will and their emotions. It's only about what I want to do and what I feel like doing. Guys and girls sitting in front of me in my office just weeping because they've been heartbroken by somebody that told them they would love them forever. And then they got into a sexual relationship with that person and they found out that they had been lied to, that that person did not love them forever. Because they followed their emotions and their will, what I feel like doing and what I want to do, instead of what I ought to do, what's good for me. what I'm being told by the church is the loving thing to do. We use all three things in our soul when we make great choices: intellect, will, and emotions. Mystery number 2, if I had a big picture of my parents, you would think they're awesome, especially if that picture was from 1979 when they got married, because my dad had a 6 stash. It was great. He doesn't have it anymore. He just shaved it off one day without telling anyone or warning anyone, and he freaked me out. But he had a mustache then. It was great. But I could show you a picture from 1979 when my parents got married, and I could show you how happy they are. I don't know what they would have to be happy about because I wasn't even there yet, but they were happy, and that's great. The beauty of that picture is that in that picture, I didn't exist yet, which is weird, man. There was a world before I was born, and it must have been just terrible, right? But like it was there, whatever. I could show you another picture of my children, and later on, if you're bored before you go home, come talk to me and I'll show you my 7 kids, and we'll just flick through and you can look at all of them. My 7 kids, they are this amazing other part of my life. There was a part of my life when they weren't born. Now, the picture of my parents reminds me of a really important thing, that I come from 2 other people. And my children remind me of another really important thing, that I am made for other people. I am made to make other people if God calls me to that, which thanks be to God he did in marriage. That's a beautiful thing. You, no matter what their relationship was or is, no matter if you were raised by your birth parents or adoptive parents, doesn't matter. You come from 2 other people, a man and a woman. And whatever vocation you're called to, you may be called to marriage, which means that you are given the ability to make new people with God's help. That's amazing, friends. It's a miracle. And the beauty of it is that God shows you those 2 purposes on your actual physical body. Do me a favor. Without moving or removing any clothing, I need you to find your belly button. Do that for me. Point to your belly button. Go ahead. I need to do the clothing caveat because one time I had a 6th grader go like, hey-oh! It's like, Brian, just cover it up. It's okay. Yeah, so your belly button. Okay. Your belly button is a physical mark on your body that reminds you that you were once connected to your mom when you were inside of her womb. What she ate, you ate. What she drank, you drank. You were connected to her. This is a physical sign that says that you come from 2 other people. One of them was a mother who carried you in her womb and loved you enough for you to be born. Now, do not find this part of your body, but your genitals, your sexual organs, are parts of your body that are literally telling you that if God calls you to marriage, you are made for other people. There are parts of your body that are designed to make new people with the help of someone of the opposite sex that you're called to marry somewhere down the road. What a beautiful thing that on your physical body, God put a sign of both your past and your future, both of which are this incredible symbol of love. Right? Think about the life that you have from your parents, that you wouldn't be here without them. That's love. Think about the life that you may be called to create down the road with a husband or a wife. That's love. That's amazing. And on your very body, he showed signs of that truth. That's the second mystery. And the third mystery is what that all leads us to. It's the idea that your body and mine, the human body, speaks a language. You probably heard the stats before, right? That like all the human communication that we do, only like 10% of it is words. The way people look, the way they hold themselves, whether or not they fall asleep while a handsome guy's talking, all that stuff, right? That's all ways that we communicate. The body speaks a language. We know that just in our bones, right? But even in our sexuality, our bodies speak a language. What I mean by that is this. Physically, even in the cells, the hormones of our body, and spiritually, our souls, when 2 people are in any kind of a sexual relationship with each other, what their souls are telling each other, what their bodies are telling each other is this: I take you to be my own. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. I will love you and I will honor you all the days of my life. Does that sound familiar, by the way? What does that sound like? Sounds like a wedding, right? Sounds like what me and Kenna did 11 years ago right here. When 2 people are in any kind of a sexual relationship, the very hormones in their body When you're bored sometime, Google the hormone oxytocin. It's a hormone that literally bonds people in a sexual relationship emotionally to each other. God put a hormone in your body to make you a faithful and great husband or wife. On the physical level, but even spiritually, their souls are telling each other, I will love you, I will serve you, I will never, ever, ever, ever leave you. And that is just the way it is. Even if the two people don't intend that to each other at all. Imagine people who have one sexual encounter on one random night. They might not know each other's last names. They are still telling each other with their bodies, I will love you, I'll be faithful to you, and I will never leave you. Friends, why do you think there is so much depression, anxiety, and even at times, tragically, suicidal thoughts and behaviors that follow breakups from sexual relationships? There's a doctor, Dr. Meg Meeker. She's a pediatrician in Michigan, and she has started in her practice with teenage girls referring to STDs. She started referring to depression and anxiety in young women as a sexually transmitted disease. Now, obviously, they're not created by bacteria and viruses, but her point is, if a girl comes into her office, a teenage girl, if that girl has anxiety or depression symptoms, she can tell you that 98% of the time that girl is sexually active. Why? Because she's been told over and over and over that this boy will love her and be faithful and never leave her. And then if he doesn't love her, if he's not faithful, if he ever leaves her, then she's heartbroken. She's been lied to. And guys, it's the same for us, right? Friends, it's the way that we are designed. It's the beauty. And the reason for that is that sex is so good. Sex is not something bad or gross or dirty. Sex is so good that it belongs to be in this protected place that we call marriage. That's why sex is only good and healthy and holy when it comes after we say those words with our mouth. Literally, when Ken and I stood on this altar 11 years ago and said to each other, I, Pat, take you, Kenna, to be my wife. I promise to be true to you in good times, in bad, in sickness, in health. I will love you and honor you all the days of my life. It's only after someone says those words with their mouth, with their body, with their full will, it's only after they do that that they're able to, in truth, act out those words with their body. That's the only time that those words are really true, is after people have vowed themselves to each other. Friends, that's the beauty of marriage. Now, don't get me wrong, marriage is really, really hard. Talk to any of your parents and your small group leaders. Marriage is hard because we're all sinners. And when you live with other sinners, and you are a sinner, things get tricky, right? Marriage is difficult, but it's so good because it's been blessed by God, and our sexuality speaks into that love, into that beauty, into that goodness. And it's so good that only when people join to each other in a procreative way, when their sex is able to make new babies, only when they join each other in a unitive way, that means that they are emotionally and spiritually united to each other after a wedding, it's only in those two circumstances that sex is so good and holy and healthy and joyful and free and peaceful. It's only in that's the roadmap to joy in terms of our body and our sexuality, right? All the time, you get questions that come up that are questioning different things like this. Well, what about if somebody's in high school and they're having sex with a boyfriend or girlfriend, right? And they're really committed to each other. What if they even are convinced that they're going to get married after high school or college? And the church says, that's beautiful, that's great. Thanks be to God that you love each other. But that act before a wedding just isn't true yet. It hasn't been sealed by a vow, so it can't be acted out in the act itself. Premarital sex is always a sin, not because we are bad or because sex is bad, but because you are good. And sex is so good that it deserves to be protected in this place where we know that it's true. We know that when people act that out with their bodies, that they mean it, that they won't take off and leave, that they won't be unfaithful with someone else, that they really mean it, they love you. That's the reason premarital sex is what we would call dangerous. The church would call it a sin. It's the same word. And, similar situations like that. Like, what about people who are attracted to the same sex? Or people who have questions and issues about their own gender, right? Friends, we as Catholics have to be really clear on this. People are not sins. Actions are sins, right? Like, everyone is a child of God. Like, you, male, female, questions, certainty, relationships, attractions, whatever. Like, you are loved. I really desperately hope that you understand that. Like, you are loved. Even if you don't feel loved by anyone in this world, I promise you that the reason you exist, the reason that you are here on this earth, is that you are loved by God your Father. Nothing that you ever do, ever say, ever think could make him love you less. And certainly none of your questions about yourself, none of your attractions could make him love you less. And also, it is true that sex belongs in marriage, that sex is intended to make babies, and that sex belongs in a marriage between a man and a woman. So you and I as Catholics have this really important place to stand because our culture says two things. Number one, that if you are same-sex attracted on the LGBTQ spectrum in any way whatsoever, you only have two options. Number one, you should do whatever you want, anytime you want, because God doesn't make mistakes, right? Or, on the other hand, they say that, and unfortunately people who call themselves Christian back this up sometimes, that you are going to burn in hell somehow just for having these feelings. And as Catholics, we have to be really clear right in the middle that on one hand, marriage is what it is. We are the way we are. Sex has a purpose. It has an intention. And it's not merely about our feelings. It's about whether or not it's open to new life and babies. It's about how it serves the sacrament of marriage. And at the same time, everyone's a child of God. Friends, it's our duty to stand up against anyone who bullies anyone. Anyone who gets picked on or excluded or made fun of at your school or online on social media for being or acting what someone perceives as gay, lesbian, same-sex attracted, transgender. We've got to stop that crap, man. It's up to us to protect all human life from conception to natural death, including everyone in between, right? Hear me clearly, you are loved. If you have questions and fears and confusion about your attractions, your relationships, your identity, this is the place to find those answers. Going to Father, going to your small group leader, going to Danny, this is the place. You can bring it to him in the monstrance tonight. You can bring it to confession if there's a sin involved. You can bring it here, and you are loved here, friends. And you're loved enough to be told the truth, too. This is a place where you belong. This is your home. Friends, whatever this topic brings up for you, I want you to pay attention to that. Just take 5 seconds. Just look in your heart for a moment. Do you have questions and thoughts and fears about this issue of sexuality? Are there things that the church says about sexuality that you just make you really angry or really scared? Are there things about the way the world around us talks about sex and marriage that's really confusing or strange or attractive maybe? Friends, whatever's going on in your heart, believe me when I say, I'm begging you to believe me when I say, you've got a God who's coming here tonight to take it all. He just wants you. He doesn't want the perfect version of you that you want to spend 30 years getting cleaned up so you can come back when you're good enough. No. This place, this church, this is a place where sinners come. Welcome aboard, right? This is where we come because he wants to love you. And he wants your love in return. That's all he ever wanted. He has answers to your questions. He is the truth when you're confused. He is healing when you've been hurt or wounded. He is your courage when you're afraid and scared and when things are hard. He knows you better than you know you. So if things about your identity are confusing or weird, he knows who you are. He knows your intention. He knows your plan. Friends, bring it to him. I want to close with this. A lot of times teachings of the church get really hard and difficult for us. And I've found that throughout my life too, that I have questions, I have doubts, I have fears about what the church teaches. I have a friend named Ashley. She's about my age. She's 37, 38, probably something like that. Ashley's great. She is an amazing mother, amazing wife of someone who's not me. She's just a friend. She has a bunch of children. The oldest of her kids died when he was 5 years old. That's its own beautiful faith story that I can tell you later if you want. But Ashley told me a story once about a couple that she knows who, when they were in high school, they were a boyfriend and girlfriend. He was a senior, she was a junior. And when she was a junior in high school, she found out that she was pregnant. Now, no secret how that happens, right? Now, here's the issue, right? Sex before marriage is a sin. Friends, babies are not sins. You know that, right? Like, actions can be sins, people are not sins. So she found herself pregnant as a junior in high school, and she was scared and nervous and terrified of what her parents and her friends and the whole school would think. She went to a big public high school, like East Ridge or something like that, right? So she went to her boyfriend, and she was scared. And the way that Ashley tells the story, she said she never really considered having an abortion. But she was scared. She was 17. She just didn't know what to do. So she went to her boyfriend, said, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. Maybe we should just get rid of it. And her boyfriend, who was a senior in high school, said to her, here's the deal. I'm Catholic, so we can do a lot of things in this situation. But abortion is the one thing that we cannot do. He said, I'm here with you. I will walk with you every step of the way. If you would like to raise this baby, I'm with you. If you want someone else to adopt and raise this baby, I'm with you. But we just can't do that one thing. And frankly, she was kind of relieved that was off the table. So she did. She carried the baby 9 months term through high school into her senior year. Now imagine the ridicule and being ostracized. Imagine the rumors and the questions. This was before Twitter, thank God. But imagine all the issues she had to deal with, right? Well, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. After they graduated high school, that boyfriend and girlfriend got married. They had, wait for it, 12 other children, the oldest of which, the baby she had her senior year of high school, is my friend Ashley, who is only alive because her boyfriend said to her, I am Catholic, so we can't have an abortion. Friends, listen, abortion is a hot topic. Sex is a hot topic. I get it. Ashley told me word for word, some people can't stand the church's teachings. She said, the church's teachings saved my life. It's just true, friends. It's the way we are, because it's love. That's the beauty of our faith. All the noise, all the voices out there, it's just noise. The truth is right here, even in the silence. Whatever your questions are, whatever your feelings are, whatever you are, take the chance, have the courage to bring it to our Lord tonight, to bring it to God's mercy tonight. I'm going to be leading and praying with some music to help you pray. If you need to stand, you can stand. If you need to kneel, you can kneel. If you need to sit, you can sit. Whatever's going to help you connect with Jesus best. But take the chance to really be honest with your God tonight and let him know what you mean to him and what he means to you. Take just a few moments to get your mind, to get your heart ready for this time of prayer. We'll transition to the real, actual highlight of the night.